and we're here with Amy Jones, and she's with the Foundry, and we're going to be talking about some different aspects of that, and they're expanding in our community. First off, the Foundry, I think people are familiar with the Foundry. We know that they help people, but also that we have the thrift store in town, which I love going to. How long has the thrift store been here?
Well, we're actually going to have our 4th anniversary of that coming up in May, so it's neat to be here 4 years.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
I know,
Time flies. Time flies. Okay, let's start with how the Foundry originated and where it started, and kind of what the philosophies are behind the Foundry.
Yeah, I'd love to share that. The Foundry actually started in Bessemer, Alabama in 1971, and our focus in 71 was really more on the rescue side of our organization. There's a tremendous need in Bessemer today, but has been for quite some time, and we really reached directly to the community. But in the early 90s, our executive director, Bill Hines, came and really put his heart and soul into the organization. And what he really began to see in the homeless and poverty-stricken communities was that drug and alcohol addiction was really the root of what led those individuals into that type of living. And so that is really where our drug and alcohol program was birthed. We also have a third arm of our ministry, so we have the rescue component, but in the recovery, and then the third piece is our reentry. And the common theme between those 3 things is drug and alcohol addiction. So our recovery program, which we have a campus here in Coleman, is a long-term recovery program.
Okay.
So the type of people that typically end up in our program have been through a couple of rehabs before.
Okay.
And most of us know someone or a family member or a friend who's been affected by addiction. And I was actually in a church recently over in the Birmingham area, and looking out in the congregation, I said, hey, if you know somebody whose life has been affected by drugs or alcohol, just raise your hand. And there literally was not one person in the congregation who didn't raise their hand. So we know it's a real problem. And actually in Coleman, 1 death a month is specifically related to drug and alcohol abuse.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a little bit overwhelming.
That's definitely an eye-opening statistic.
Okay. It is. So this recovery program is for people who are really ready for life change.
Is it a men and women program, or is it just strictly, I know some are just strictly for men, some are just strictly for women.
Right.
So
overall, we have about 400 people in our programs.
Okay.
And the majority of that are men. We have 57 women on our campus in Bessemer.
Okay.
But here in Coleman, it's all guys. It's a great environment. It's outdoorsy. The type of guys who just need to get out of the city life for a little while and get back to nature, a little bit closer to where God's presence is living on a day in and day out basis. The farm is perfect for that.
And let's talk a little bit about what's happening this weekend. Sunday, you're expanding from 45 to 80 spots, I guess, out at the farm. That is wonderful that you're almost doubling. So let's talk a little bit about the groundbreaking.
I would just be honored to. So on Sunday, the groundbreaking is open to the community, of course. But we're so excited just to put some shovels in the ground, because we have consistently had a waiting list for that program, and adding these additional beds, doubling the capacity and the influence in this community is really going to help us overcome the drug and addiction problem in our state.
And when they have residency out at the farm, what are they doing to better themselves? What are they doing? Jobs, classes? What aspects are kind of in their recovery?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I had to summarize the 3 biggest effects outside of family on drug and alcohol abuse, it's in our education system, it's in our healthcare system, then it's as well in the job environment. So those are 3 specific areas we really hit hard. If you think about addiction, the rehab or the getting off the drug component really only takes about 90 days for you to detox and to be drug free. But you really have to get back to the root of why the addiction took place, and to begin with. Like something drove them to fill the gap or to cope in the way that they did with drugs and alcohol. So really the last 9 months of our program helps get inside, helps show that Christ is the solution for what's hurting inside of you. And those 9 months we spend helping them become productive, transformed people. So they'll undergo counseling every single day. They have a counselor that they meet with regularly. They attend church. They're part of small groups. But we also work diligently with local colleges like Lawson and Wallace State to help get GEDs if they need that, to help them get some skills like maybe their welder's permit so they can begin working in that job environment. But thirdly, we also teach them to get up for work and to go to work every day. Out at the farm, they can choose from a couple of different work readiness opportunities. They can work as an administrative support on the farm itself. We've got farming opportunities where we grow some fresh produce there. We also have the thrift store in Coleman, and there's lots of job opportunity there where they can work their way up to be supervisors and really begin to help new people coming in the program. So the goal is really that when they graduate our program, they're drug-free. Their life is Christ-centered, and they're productive in their own societies.
Going back to the thrift store, we take loads and then we shop a lot too. And both aspects of those, I'm always so pleased at how nice everyone is, and everybody tells you God bless you. You know, everyone. It's you can just tell in their personalities that they're confident and that they are God-centered. So it's always a blessing going in the thrift store. I really enjoy that aspect of it. So that's just wonderful that you're almost doubling your program here locally. Yes. Are there specific drugs that you're seeing that have kind of taken over, or kind of, I guess, I don't want to say the lead runner, but that are kind of causing the majority of the problems?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the two that we're seeing really overwhelm us in the state of Alabama are the heroin usage as well as spice. It's kind of an up-and-coming trend that's unfortunate. Let me just tell you a little bit about heroin. I personally didn't have anyone in my family who's been affected by drug or alcohol abuse, but this was interesting for me to know that heroin is an opioid drug. And the Birmingham area and Alabama at large is actually a huge city for opiate addictions. That's things like Oxycontin and prescription medication. I think we've all heard about that in the news. But since our laws have kind of tightened up that you can't doctor hop and get 1,000 prescriptions, that opiate fix is still there. And so all of these users have now swapped to heroin, and it's cheap and it's easy to get. But the problem is, we've had more than double in our state, 147% more overdoses in heroin in 2014 than ever before.
Oh my goodness!
So it's a huge problem because the heroin is a pure grade, and a lot of times you'll do it one time, and the first time that you do it, it's an overdose situation. And so my pastor says often that we're all one step away from stupid.
Right.
Like tomorrow we could go and make one stupid decision.
Right.
And unfortunately for people who make a stupid decision of trying heroin, it will end in their death.
Oh my goodness. It's just, it's good that we don't need to be living with our heads buried in the sand. I think we live in such a small community that we like to think that nothing happens here. And obviously, it is happening here for the beds to need to be doubled. What can we do as a community to help the Foundry? Are there volunteer opportunities, supporting the thrift store? What's our best way to help?
Yeah, there's really three main ways that you can help the Foundry overcome this drug addiction. First and foremost, we would ask that you would pray. Pray for the men who are currently in the program. Pray for the men who are not yet here. But are struggling with addiction or steps away from making a decision about alcohol or drug usage. Additionally, pray for students. We're seeing a huge increase in high school and college students in drug addiction. So pray. That's the first thing that we would love for you to do. Second one is share. Share what's going on. Coleman is an incredible community, so supportive and so Christ-based, and so share what the Lord is doing in your own community to help people change their lives. And then third, we'd love for you to give. There's lots of different ways to give. Of course, financially, if you want to participate in the building campaign, we'd love to have you be a part of that. But give your clothes, donate them to the thrift store, give your time, volunteer. There's so many opportunities at the farm for you to get involved with these guys and really minister to them. So come, be a part. We'd love to have you.
That is great. And so this Sunday, April the 26th, they're doing their groundbreaking. I've said it many times, they're doubling from 45 to 80 beds. If we need to get in contact with you, is there a website or something that we can kind of look and get more information?
Yes.
Okay.
There is. If you'll go to rebuildcampaign.com,
Okay.
there's tons of information just about what the Foundry Farm is doing, and as well as statistics and specific things that the Foundry is doing to really help make a difference, as well as ways for you to get involved with the campaign.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for your
welcome.
time. We have really been informed, and I hope y'all take some time out to see how you can help the Foundry. Stay tuned for more of Today on 2.